Hello, what's up everybody? This is Irene with jamplay.com. Welcome back to week 2 of my Riffs and Rhythm live course with Jamplay. I hope you enjoyed last week's rock riff and you played it loads. Today we've got something different. It's going to be a blues riff with a shuffle, a 16th note shuffle feel to it. Let me go ahead and play it with the backing track and then we'll break it down. All right, so that was it. This is, as you see, shuffle groove. Just gonna explain that in a little bit. But generally speaking, what we're gonna be learning today is how to do a light palm mute from the right hand. That's not in the rock style at all. This is just to make the notes more percussive, more rhythmic. And this is what we want to combine with the actual notes that, are not muted, and with the 16th note shuffle to create this blues muted riff. I mean, if you think about bands like the Meters or anything with modern funk, you would definitely hear a lot of this playing. I'm just mentioning Meters now because I'm thinking of Kissy Strap, which is a very famous song with that type of tone. So this is funk blues. I mean, essentially it is blues, but it's not a very huge big tone with chords. We've got single note lines. Now what I'm going to show before anything else is how to work on this shuffle groove, because this is 16th note shuffle. That's why the tempo is low, if you like. I mean, the piece is at 70. So you can easily work with 140 if you like, and just play shuffle 8th notes, but I would recommend doing 16th notes right away. Let me show that with a metronome, how the shuffle 16th notes sound and how the straight 16th notes sound, so you can hear the difference. I'll put it low at 50 for now. Let's see. Yeah. So let's say I want to play just a single note, a C note on the 10th fret of the D string. So I'm just going to play straight 16ths. Let's do the shuffle once. Straight. Shuffle. Okay, you can totally hear the difference. I'm already using the muted technique that I mentioned just so that you get used to the sound. And remember, I'm not using a very high gain on this one. Actually, I've got it maybe at the middle, and because this is a single coil, it sounds like an overdrive. It doesn't sound like distortion or gain at all. So you could experiment with a clean tone if you like, but just maybe a bit of gain just to get a little bit of volume, or volume from the notes, so that it doesn't sound completely muted. Now, if you prefer to practice double time, I'll put it at 100 if you like, and then you can just translate it into 16. So at 100 it would be the same thing, but I'll just play 8s straight first. 8, sorry. Shuffle. Straight. Shuffle. And then you can easily drop it half time to 50. If it helps you do it that way, I would preferably start directly at the slow tempo, the half time tempo, to play the 16ths. Same thing. Okay, so hopefully you've got an idea of how the shuffle sound is. Now, let's go ahead and just break everything down. It's gonna be, it's a short one, it's 8 bars, so let's do it bar by bar. A lot of things are repetitive, so we're interested in getting the grooves and the notes right. Now, first bar has, it's moving around the C minor pentatonic, right? Again, what you want to do for the muting, you touch the strings on the bridge, right on the bridge, where the string meets the bridge to get this tone. And what we want to do is we want to check out the fingering for this. So what I'm doing is, these are the first 2 beats. So which notes am I going for? It's fret 8 on the low E. Then I've got, again, the same note, 1 octave high, fret 10 on the D string. I'm gonna play that with the 4th finger. I'll explain why. And then we've got fret 8 on the D string, back to 10 on the D string, this time with the 3rd finger. Now, the reason I'm doing that is because I want to be able to do the muting right here. I mean, it doesn't make a huge difference. You can use the 3rd, but it somehow feels easier to use the 4th because this finger, I don't want it to leave very quickly. I want it to go, I want it to be able to mute the strings below the D string first and then move itself to the D string. So I've got, this is what's happening in the first 2 16th notes. This is not a palm muted note. This is like a completely dead note. So this is like, this is a percussive note. There's no tone to it. There's no, the first one is muted, but the second one isn't. So I'm doing down, up, but the second one, I'm not pressing the note from this side. And it's a slighter stroke. Same happens on that 4th 16th note. So let me just do the first beat. It's these both are palm muted. It doesn't sound like it's one more time slower. So I've got downstroke for the muted, for the palm muted note, upstroke for the dead note or the percussive note, the one marked with an X, which is different from the palm muting. So and this last note is unmuted, so I'm gradually opening up the sound. So I've got palm muting, percussive, palm muting, percussive, palm muting, open, just a normal note. So 3, 4. And these are the first 2 beats of the song, or of the riff, and these things are repeating a lot. Actually, if you look at it, bars 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, actually every bar except for the last 2 has this as a starting point. So this is already learned. One more time, just because this is a basic one. With a slow tap of the foot. So 3, 4. Whoops. And as you see those upstrokes with a percussive note, they're very quiet. They're not the same motion. Just a slow, just a quick snap. As if you're not, it's as if you're just making the motion to keep the groove going. It's not like, we don't want it to be that loud because then it creates a completely different feel. For the shuffle feel, we want that second note and that fourth note of the 16th to be quieter. Okay, so I think this is enough with that. If you've got a question for it, just let me know in the chat. Now, next one. It's like a response to that. What is it doing? Same tactic here. These percussive notes marked with the X, these dead notes, they're just upstrokes, quiet upstrokes. And I'm not pressing the note in palm muting, I'm just lightly touching it again. This is fret 10 of the D string. That's the sound. And all of those are coming with an upstroke. Except, of course, for the notes that we're not muting. So we've got frets 11, 10, and 8 on the G string. Before we go back to the root, the C, fret 10 of the D string. So this starts on the second 16th note. So if I'm going to count it, it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 2, 3. A bit slower. 2, 3. And these notes are all open. I mean, they're played normally. There's no muting involved. I'll just play bar 1, full bar 1, so. A bit slower. 3, 4. And this is the first bar. It's like a question itself, actually, if you think about bar 2, but you can break it down. I mean, 2 beats are a question, another 2 beats are an answer. Bar 2 starts exactly the same way. Hopefully we've learned that. And it's doing something different for the second response. Now this is a triplet. This is a triplet of an 8th, so you want to be able to count it with so like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, because our tempo is slow. And what also happens is this is like a, it's not just a, the notes are staccato, they're notated, but also you've got a little kind of a rake, if you like, or maybe a brush stroke. It's not just a strum. The strum would be like that, but we've got, it's an accented stroke, and this way, yeah, it feels like a rake or a brush stroke. You would think about that. And this is in beat 4, it just goes in beat 4. So let me just play the whole thing. We know half the part already, slow, so 1, 2, 3, 4. And four. Why don't I put these two together with a click? The click will be slow. Let's say we're going to do it at 50, maybe 55. Let's do 55. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Hopefully you've got an idea of how that sounds. So we've got a mixture of swung or shuffle 16th notes. You might hear it as both ways, and triplets. It's very interesting rhythmically, and you can hear it follows the backing track. So everything is accented with the bass and the drums exactly where you're meant to be playing those things, so they can help you. And let's move on to bar 3. Again, first half of the bar is already learned. So we're going to go to beat 2, which, if you notice, it has exactly the same rhythm as bar 1 and only a few changes. Again, this is a variation. This is a simple riff. So where we were going, this time we're going to go. It's cool, isn't it? It's bluesy. So again, we're not touching, we're not like pressing bar 10 on the D string to produce this muted percussive sound. We're just lightly touching it, and we're doing an upstroke on it. So literally anywhere you touch the string, this is going to be the same thing. And this time we've got 2 notes sounding at the end. So I've got frets 11, 12 on the G string, and then I'm moving to 14th fret on the G string and 13th fret on the D string. Let me count it in with my foot. It's going to be, it comes in on beat 3. So let's go 1, 2, 3. Again, it goes on the what? On beat 3E on the second 16th note. 1, 2. One more time. Let me put it together with, actually I'll do it with a metronome for the 4 bars. So I'm just gonna, literally this is the same thing as. It's exactly the same rhythm, isn't it? It's just a variation of bar 1 that moves higher on the neck. And then we've got bar 4, again, starts in the same way. This is our main riff. That's why it's a static riff, right? Because it's like a bass line, like a bass groove that could go on, and someone could play lead on top. But we're actually just supporting the rhythm. So this is our first chord change here. We've been in a tonic center of a C all this time. We're gonna go to 2 different chords. The change happens in beats 3 and 4. What's beat 3 is an F7. This is a 3-note chord this time. So I've got frets 8 on the A string, 7 on the D string, 8 on the G string. Fingers 2, 1, 3. Simply because we're going to move on to beat 4 with what? The G7 sharp 9 chord, which will require similar fingering. So what's that now? This is frets 10 on the A, 9 on the D, 10 on the G, 11 on the B. But this one has a sextuplet. What's a sextuplet? It's going to be 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 on the beat. Just like 2 triplets at once. If we got, if this is our tempo, it's going to be 1, 2, and 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If you can count like that, I think it's quite difficult. I'd rather do 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so this is what happens. And this is down up picking. And as you notice, I'm not doing, I'm just kind of giving it a bit of dynamic. I'm accenting the first one. The other ones, I'm just like brushing them. So maybe I can give some more dynamic to the last ones. Just because I want to land on that rhythm again, which I'm calling a B section. I mean, it's very similar to the A section anyway, but it's just got a couple of more variations. So anyway, bar 4, let me just play beats 3 and 4 together. So it's going to be 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. With the previous bit, whole of bar 4. Bit better. 3, 4. And let me just put the whole thing with a metronome up to now. It's bars 1 to 4. Let's see how it all fits together. 55 still, so. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll just play it one more time a bit slower. Let's go to, this is going to be wild. I'll just try 45, just in case it feels a bit, you know, fast still. So let's give it a go. 2, 3, 4. Actually very challenging to play that slow, but you know, definitely you need to go through that phase if you're not used to the 16th notes in that tempo. The shuffle 16ths, because shuffle 16ths the way more you know, demanding than just straight 16ths, because someone would say, okay, 45 is just a simple tempo. Well, it's not really for that type of thing, to get the groove right and moving with the backing track. So moving on, part B, this is going to be, again, another cycle, another little bluesy cycle. The static riff continues. Okay. I haven't mentioned that, but actually we're accenting that last note to give it that push that it deserves in this rhythm. What's going on now in bar 5? Again, the same rhythm. It starts in the second 16th note of the third beat, so. And where we had a single, well, 2 single notes, we've got a double stop with a slide. I'll just go through that. This is bar, these are beats. They're the last 16th notes, the last 2 16th notes in bar 5. And it's frets 8 and 7 on the G and B string. And that whole thing slides 1 fret up and goes to frets 9 and 8. And this is like a, if you think about it, this is the high part of a C major triad. This is very common in blues. It's like, or you can think about it as the dominant chord. It's without the 7th, and we're just sliding into it, right? So it goes. And we're bluesy here already, right? These are the same notes we did before. They belong to the C blues scale. So 1, 2, 3. Either fingers or 1, 2. Or a pick. I think I went with a pick for this one. So one more time. 1, 2, 3. Remember, we start with an upstroke because this is the second 16th note. So whole thing, 3, 4. and this is where we're gonna land again. I'll do the next bar and then go through these two things together. So, same thing, static riff. I'm just gonna go to beat 4 of bar 6, because we know everything else. Now this is a bit oddly written, but it's actually a lot easier to understand than it looks like notated. Remember when we had the sextuplet on bar 4? This is the same logic here in bar 6. We're just going to play the E flat 5, which is in frets 6, 8, 8 of A, D, G strings. We're going to play that on the very second sextuplet of that group, and then we're just going to join everything else. So if you think about 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 in one beat, we're just going to play on 1, 2, and just get all the other notes ringing into each other. So like tying everything else. I'm leaving a pause, a rest on the first sextuplet, and then playing right away on the second, and letting everything else ring throughout this whole group. So I'll just play it so you can hear it. If I'm counting myself in 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, if that makes sense. And 1, 2. Okay, so let's put it in context. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Slightly pushed from beat 4. It's very interesting. It creates great tension with the drums. This is actually a very funk influenced push on that second sextuplet. So I'll play the whole thing with the metronome, bars 5 and 6, slow. Let's keep 45. It seems to be clear enough what's happening even though it's very slow. So let's do bars 5, 6, 3, 4. Whoops. 3, 4. A bit better. 3, 4. Right there. You'll see with the backing track, it will definitely help you get exactly where that sweet spot is. And we're almost getting towards the end. This is going to be the final, let's say, pair of bars that kind of have a question and answer thing going on. Now, again, bar 7, we already know the first half, and I'm just going to go through the last part, which is again, it's like a blues, not turnaround, but kind of a preparation phrase to go somewhere else. So it starts on the second 16th note again. This is similar again to bars 1 and 3. We had the same type of fill going on, you know? But this time, I've just got a longer note at the end. So how does that go? It goes 1, 2, 3. Difference is now we've got palm muted notes. We don't have the percussive notes, the dead notes. We're actually using this root note muted. And this is fret 8 on the low E string, our C note, like a pedal note, and then I'm going to D, then to E flat, just to accent that, to mark that change to the F7 that's coming later. So let me play that a few times. So frets again 8, low E, frets 5 and 6 on the A string, and then I've got frets 8 and 6 again on the low E. So 3 actually goes on the 3, so I'll count 1, 2 and into it. So 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Let me play those two, 6 and 7, or maybe, no, actually we've played 5 and 6 together, so I'll just move on to 8, which is pretty simple. It's only chords. 8 and 9, it's the same thing, it's the ending. And I'll play those last 3 together with a click. Now, we've got our familiar F7. You can do a little vibrato here if you like, because it's a long one. It's 2 beats. Now, we've got the sextuplet down because we played it on the previous bar, on bar 4. And then we've got a triplet for an 8th. So what is that like? This is a good trick to learn to count the sextuplets and triplets in the same tempo. So it goes 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 is the triplet, the latest one. So I'll just play this a few times. So 1, 2. And. If you notice, I'm doing down, up picking for the sextuplet and using that little dynamic trick I said before. We don't want to go. That's a bit manic. So. And I'm accenting those ones on the triplet, on the 8th note triplets. They're staccato as well. And they're played with a downstroke, because I need to hear this accent here. I'm just getting ready to close this whole thing. So I want to, make a good exit by putting some more dynamics. So I'll play the whole of bar 8, which is 3, 4. 3, 4. One more time. 4. And that's our cute closing. This is a C9. These are frets 15 on the A, 14 on the D, and then we've got 15 little bar with the 3rd finger, 15 on all high strings, G, B, and E. I'm kind of doing a brush stroke here too, so, or like, I don't know how else you would call that, because I'm not just playing, I'm going, yeah, I think it's called a brush stroke. Or a rake, like we said before, but the rake kind of doesn't apply here because rake is usually more muted. This is like a nice outro chord, and it goes on beat 2. So careful with counting here, because there's a gap in the backing track, so you need to be counting in the background in your head to get right onto beat 2. It's got a bit of a lazy feel to it. All right, let me play bars 7, 8, 9 with a click. See how that goes. This is going to be 45 again. So 2, 3, 4. And it slides down. One more time, and 2, 3, 4. Sweet. Okay, well, this is the whole thing. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to play the whole thing in all 3 speeds. I've got 3 backing tracks for you. One is at 50, one at 60, and the original one is at 70 BPM. So let's try the 50 slow one. Very pretty. Let's try 60 BPM. Beautiful. Let's have a last look at the original speed. Same thing I played in the beginning. So 70 BPM. Alright, well done everybody. I hope you managed to get the whole thing in one go. This was much easier than last time, technically speaking, but the difficult part in this one is the groove. So if you're having trouble getting those shuffle 16 notes, just practice slow with single notes. Even over the backing track, you can just use a single C note all over the track to just get used to how it moves. And don't forget to tap your foot to the rhythm, that always helps. Now, if you have any questions, please ask them in the chat. We've got a little more time still before I come on to collect everything and answer your questions live. So thank you very much for your concentration and hard work, and I'll see you on the next one. Hey, hello again. I hope you enjoyed this week's riff or groove. It's not 100% like, it's more like a rhythm part. The shuffle 16th, that was a cool place to go on from the rock riff. We've got a few questions. Thank you for your questions. I'm going to start with the first question, which is, it stays around the same root, the same chord, and it kind of drifts away for a little while just to bring it back. So in a musical sense, I would say, you know, more referring to the here. So if it stays in one area for a long time, in one chord, I refer to it as static. So I hope this helps. This one's definitely a static one, just keeps revolving around the C. It wants to go back to that. So I hope this helps you out. Right, let's go for the next one. Okay, I wonder if I repeat some of that again, because I think we might have a connection issue. Yes, I was saying that by static, I mean that it's going around the same chord. I'm not moving from, I'm around that C minor tonic center and I'm just drifting away for only a little bit. Any riff that goes like that would be a static riff. It just returning to that root, and only for a little while, in this case for one, it moves to something else and comes back. So in this case, it is a static riff. In that sense that it doesn't, we don't have a huge amount of chord changing. Okay, our next question is by M. Richard. Is this best on the bridge pickup? I like it best on the middle one. This is the one I demonstrated. I mean, you can play it on the bridge as well. Similar to that. You could explore both ways. I tend to like the middle one for this because it body to the note. The other one, if you want to be more punchy, you might want to do it. Or if you have another rhythm guitar on the background as a second guitar, you might need it to cut through the mix. But I would play it with pickup, on this guitar at least. P. Simona, I have trouble getting my pinky to cooperate with this kind of fingering. Do you have any tips to help with this? I suppose you mean the main riff where I'm playing instead of the third. I did say you can play with the third if you want, but it just somehow feels easier with the fourth to me. And you'll see in a number of situations, because you'll need these two fingers for muting, you will go for the fourth finger, even if it feels like you should put the third. So if you want to practice that, you could do maybe octaves, like any type of, anything involving the little finger without any support. Or maybe even if you want to make it a little stronger, you might just do some chromatic exercises involving third and fourth. Or just maybe long stretches. You'll feel that it's not a muscle, it's like a nerve, isn't it? You'll feel that stretching and getting stronger. Anything that involves the little finger by itself with legato is probably the most challenging exercise to make it stronger. So I hope this helps. Right. Next question, Jim Bean. Can you explain more about how to count triplets? Yes, of course. I mean, it's. I suppose you're talking about the eighth note triplets. I think about them as 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. Sorry, these are sextuplets actually. So in this tempo, 1, 2, 3, 4. You want to think of 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. Actually, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Sorry, I kept talking about the sextuplets for some reason. So triplets will be 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. If I want to go double time in sextuplets, then it's going to be 3 notes on the down, 3 notes on the up. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So try splitting this and maybe practicing in one note. Say try to accent the first one of the triplets just to get the groove going. Yeah, and it goes 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That's one way to practice it on the guitar and, you know, sing it as well, or clap it. Some people, you know, it helps if they clap it. Also, what might be useful is to listen to some blues shuffle, because most of the time you listen to the hi-hat going, you'll hear that triplet very obviously there. Okay, so that's all the questions for today. Thank you very much for taking part in this. I hope you enjoyed and you're, you know, getting very, very good at it. Let me know how you're getting on. Thank you very much. I'll see you in the next one.